Hey everybody, Ron Carruthers here. We have another Facebook Live for you guys today, and we're going to chat about exactly what to do if you are waitlisted or deferred from your top college choice. You shouldn't really be hearing about admissions acceptances right yet. It's a little early for that, although you may hear from a handful of schools. But let's go through the checklist here, so at least if it happens, you kind of know ahead of schedule what to do. First of all, in the last few years, waitlisting has become a big deal in the college world. Colleges get very concerned with something called yield ratio. And basically what yield ratio is the number of students that they accept that accept them. So colleges are very interested in making sure that they have an acceptable number of students that accept them, that they accept, that accept them. I think I said that right. And it's a big deal. Colleges get together and talk about yield ratios and things like that. So before we dive in what to do if you are waitlisted, let's chat about how to avoid getting on the wait list in the first place. First of all, you do not have to apply early decision. Early decision is one of the worst ways that you can apply for college. And the reason is you are committing to a college before they commit to you, especially when it comes to financial aid. Now, if your parents are very wealthy, or you as a parent are very wealthy, since mainly it's parents that watch my blog here, my blog. By the way, if you guys don't know who I am, I suppose I could introduce myself. My name's Ron Carruthers. I try to be really smart in all areas of college, paying the least amount possible, finance, not losing money unknowingly and unnecessarily, and securing retirement so the stock market ups and downs don't mess you up. And if you live too long, that doesn't mess you up. Anyway, back to this. Let's talk about how to avoid being on the wait list in the first place. And then we're going to turn around and take a look at what to do if you get on the wait list, how to come off of it, and kind of some things to look out for and what to do. First things first, applying to the right number of schools will avoid you ending up on the wait list in many cases in the first place. And let me explain. Let's go back to yield ratio. Schools get very concerned with their yield ratios, particularly smaller private schools where having, say, the incoming freshman class is 1,000 students. And they have a real tightrope to walk because if they accept too many students, say even 50 or 75 more, that's going to play havoc on their class size, their dorm space, all sorts of things. If they accept too few, say they only get 950 students, then your problem is we've got 50 spaces available, and the average student is going to give us, let's say at a private school, $250,000 over 4 years. So whatever 50 times, it's like $12 million that they leave on the table just on one class. It's a big deal. So the first thing you can do to make sure you don't end up on the wait list, if at all possible, is go in and apply to the right number of schools. And what is the right number of schools today? The right number of schools is somewhere around 10 to 12. Now, it's kind of obvious that you wouldn't want to apply to one school, let's say, if you're not sure you're going to get in, or 2 or 3 is a bad number. Generally, 8 is the low end these days. 10 to 12 is kind of the average, and we really discourage our clients from applying to any more than 12 schools. And here's the reason why. The schools know about the other schools you applied to. So when they see, oh, young Miss Jones applied to 24 other institutions, you don't need a calculator to figure out they have a 1 in 25 chance of getting you to come there should they accept you. Now, if you're applying to Ivy League schools, you can bump that number up a little bit just because the amount of acceptances are so low at those schools. But simply applying to 10 to 12 schools, really honing in on that list, not only saves a bunch of money in application fees, it actually improves your chances of getting into your top schools and being able to go from there. So that's number one. And everybody wants to argue with me on that. That's fine. Please jump in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. but I can tell you based on 25 plus years of experience, that's a good number. 10 to 12. And by the way, it used to be 8 to 10, but in recent years, we've adjusted that up a little bit. Sometimes I get asked, how do they know what other schools I applied to? The answer is real simple. Most private schools are on the Common App system now, so they can straight up see. And even if they're not, they can see the other schools you applied to on the FAFSA when you fill that out. So there you go. I think I interrupted myself when I was explaining early decision. So let me come back to that point. Through all my years of working with students, what I found is I've never seen a case where a kid improved their odds by getting an early decision or early action or any of that. What I have seen is parents get less money than they would have gotten otherwise because they applied early decision. And that makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Because if you go in and you're going to turn around and tell the school, hey, my kid's coming here no matter what incentive do they have to give you a good deal to lure you in by giving you better financial aid? It's kind of the same as if you walk down to a car dealership and you're like, look, that's the car I'm buying. I don't care what anybody else says. I want that car. Let's get the paperwork going. You don't fill out the paperwork and be like, hey, man, can you cut me a deal on the car? No, that's not how this works. You wanted this car. You signed for this car. You're paying sticker price for this car. Same with college. The other thing that we get that's kind of a falsehood about early decision is a lot of schools tell you, hey, don't worry about it. Apply early decision. If you don't get an early decision, then we'll turn around and put you in with our regular decision students and you'll get a chance to look at it then. We'll reconsider you then. Guys have been at this a long time. I've worked with thousands of families. It makes me feel old, actually. I'm going to stop and think about it. I haven't yet started working with anybody's grandkids yet, but I know it's coming. And I've done tons of financial stuff for my students that are graduating. I know it's coming that I'm going to be working on grandkids before too long, and then I'm going to be really depressed. Anyway, I cannot give you one instance that I've seen with my own eyes where somebody who got deferred on early decision ended up getting accepted on regular decision. I've never seen it. I'm sure it's happened once or twice, but I've never seen it. My experience has been the college does not go back and look at those applications regardless of what they tell you. And I will tell you something else. On a lot of this stuff, I have a huge advantage over your high school's guidance counselor is that I have a company credit card. And what that means is I can take admissions officers out for a drink, get a couple cocktails in them, and get the truth about what goes on behind the scenes. And I can't tell you how many times I'd ask them a question like, well, is it true that you do this practice? They're like, are you high? Hell no. Now I get a different answer before they have the cocktails. After the cocktails, totally different answer. So early decision, it's not going to improve your chances. Applying to the right number of schools will improve your chances. And by the way, while you're looking at this, you want to make sure that they're schools that you have a fighting chance of getting into. How do you check that? If you have no other measure to go by, what you want to do is take a look at where the middle 50% of their SAT and ACT scores are. And if your student is in there, and particularly if they're towards the higher end of that, as at 80% of the schools in America, 85%, that's going to be good enough and you're going to be set. So that's what I'd look for before you apply. And that's the barometer that we use in our office to kind of pinpoint with, let's call it 90% accuracy, where a kid's getting in and where they're not. Now, they don't always listen to us. Nobody ever does. But we're usually pretty good about doing that. So that said, let's go into waitlisting. What do you do if you get waitlisted? Well, the first thing is, if you're interested in the school, you want to accept your spot on the wait list, because a lot of times they'll ask you, do you want to be considered? And the answer is, if you do, say yes. Even if you don't, say yes. Why not? But then the second step is what separates the kids that we see that get in at a higher percentage from the kids we see get in at a lower percentage. And I want you guys to pay close attention to this. You want to write a letter, your student writes a letter to the director of financial aid. I'm sorry, the director of admissions. Good Lord, I gotta drink more coffee. The director of admissions, and pay attention, you are going to FedEx this letter. No email. You can email follow-up, but that sucker's going FedEx. You spend 10 bucks, 15 bucks to get it there. Doesn't even have to go overnight. And you're going to send this letter mid to late April. The reason is in college world, you have to turn around and everybody accepts by May 1. That's kind of like D-Day in college world. And so you want this letter to show up. We're going to talk about what's in the letter in a minute on this admissions officer's desk right before they're kind of culling their final students there, so that if they have a spot, you're the one that gets considered. The reason for the FedEx is in the history of mankind, not one person has ever ignored a FedEx letter. I don't know what it is. There's something almost mystical about them. So it's coming on their desk, and here's what the letter is going to do. Real easy. It's going to have 3 points of why your student should be accepted by them that isn't already on the application. So for instance, new awards won, new GPA, if you retook a test and got a better grade on it, any of those sorts of things. So it might be like, hey, since I last wrote, I'm writing to re-express my interest still in going to Northeastern University. I was very disappointed to be put on the wait list. I hope to come off of it. Let me tell you why I think I would be an outstanding student for your school. 1, 2, 3. I received Spanish Student of the Year. I, made it to CIF in track and field for my event in shot putting or whatever it is. And I've managed to keep all A's through my midterm reports for this semester, showing my dedication to work, and I've done it all while working 15 hours a week at Cold Stone Creamery, something like that. Then the next step is to give them 2 to 3 reasons why their school is the perfect choice for you. So let me explain what that means. And you want to make sure, I think my chickens ran in the house. We'll go check on them in a second. Hold on, we're going to go over here and make sure the dog's all right. Sorry about this. I hope you guys don't get seasick when we're doing this all Blair Witch style. All right, everybody's good. Yeah, you're good. Oh, there's the chicken. Hold on. Say hi. Okay, back to work. Everybody's safe. That's all I want to make sure. We'll go back into the Carter's kitchen here. So anyway, let's check this to make sure I'm looking good. Yeah, I'm looking all right. Not too terrible. So anyway, here's the point about the 3 things that you want to say about them. You want to make sure that they're specific and it's not something that somebody else that you could just swap out Northeastern for Berkeley and it's going to read the same. So we're not going to talk about their academic prowess, their diverse student body, and the commitment to excellence. We're going to talk about, y'all don't have a football team. I hate football. I love hockey. I'm really excited to go to school that has a hockey team because I grew up in Southern California. I really appreciate that your business school has a co-op program that I can get real world experience that many schools don't offer. I'm really excited about that, and the fact that you guys just put in $20 million in your new gym. I don't know if they did or didn't. The first 2 are true, by the way. I don't know about the third one. I love to work out, and I'm going to get swole while I'm there. So this is really important to me. You guys are the perfect fit. See how different that is from the diverse academic experience and the whatever nonsense that you could say about any school. So you send that letter. I am shameless. I would include a family picture. That's me. Doesn't have to be wearing the Northeastern sweatshirt or anything like that. It's just a way to put a human face with it. Like, look, I really am interested. Now, statistics more or less show that about 1 in 5 across the country get into come off the wait list, get into their college. But it really varies. When we talk to schools, some years they don't go to their wait list at all. Last year, a couple schools went to their wait list in early April. They just weren't getting students to accept at the normal rate. So they started calling students up in early April before they had a chance to commit anywhere else. And I think you're going to see more of that as some of these smaller schools might initially accept fewer students and then go to the wait list and kind of pick them off one by one. Now, you're gonna get that FedExed off, it's gonna get on their desk. At the same time, you may not hear before May 1, so we gotta pick a secondary choice school. So we gotta pick that school, get your financial aid all worked out, and then let's assume sometime in May or maybe even in June, you hear from the school and they're like, hey, we'd love to offer you space on the wait list. We're only halfway done. We're only halfway done because now we've got to go through and make sure they give you financial aid. So financial aid is a big deal if you need it. Back to early decision for a moment. Again, you really only want to do that if your parents can just afford to write, or you as parents can afford to write the check for the whole thing. But if you otherwise need financial aid, some schools won't give it to you if you come off the wait list. And their feeling is, hey, you're begging to come here, no problem, you pay. Whereas other schools are like, no problem, here's our financial aid. So just remind your student, even if you come off the wait list, that's half the battle. We still got to get it the rest of the way, which is make sure we get a financial aid package that's acceptable and we can live with. So what are your steps here? Number one, you're going to accept a spot on the wait list. Number two is you're going to compose a letter with some additional new information. 3 points is perfect about you, 3 points about them. You're going to sign it, put it in a FedEx envelope with a picture, fire it off to the director of admissions, not the director of financial aid. And then you're going to accept a spot at your second place school. You're going to go ahead and send off a deposit for those guys. And then if you hear you're not going to roll over, you're going to wait and ask them about financial aid. Go, you know what? I really am excited. And I have gone ahead and committed to another school. I'd be happy to break that commitment, but we do need to know about money, kind of where we stand on this, because I don't think my parents can afford, to pay cash for this whole thing. When would I be able to hear on that? And that's when you accept. If it works, awesome. And if it doesn't, no problem. We can always talk about transferring. We can do other things. My experience has been most of the time when a student goes to one of the other schools or commits, by the time the wait list comes around, I am surprised how many times kids are like, you know what, I've already met my roommate, I've been to their orientation day, I'm really excited, never mind. In fact, we had a dad a few years ago, it was pretty funny. He's pretty high up in the San Diego community. I will not give any details, but he was a very well politically connected, powerful man. He was very handsome too. Anyway, powerful, handsome, attractive man. And his daughter, who went to Catholic school, the Catholic school connected to University of San Diego, which is a diocese-owned college that owned both the school she went to and the college. They didn't accept her. And they didn't accept her, which is hilarious enough, because it was her GPA, because their stupid school grades much tougher than the public school she would have gone to. So he pulled every string in the book to get her accepted. I mean, I think he called bishops and priests and everything. He gets the whole thing worked out. He's like, all right, you can go here. She's like, I met my roommate. We really hit it off. I just want to go to San Diego State. And so I got an earful from him about his kid. And you know what? I was like, man, it's let it be her decision. Plus, you're saving a ton of money. They're not going to give you any money. And they're like $30,000 a year more. Just think of what you can do with that cash. But it was funny to watch him be frustrated. So I hope this helps. I really enjoy making these videos for you guys. I hope you enjoy my kitchen, my beautiful outside here. You guys see the chickens, man. Little something for everybody on this deal. Anyway, feel free to share this. Pop your questions and comments in there. We'd love to hear from you. We're going to be doing more of these. And in the next few days, I have a new book coming out. I have a new class coming out. So I'm going to tell you about that. So we'll chat with you guys soon, and share the love. We'll chat with you later. Bye-bye.